I'm sure you've talked a lot with the existing, tenants, especially the anchor tenants. I'm just curious if you could share any generalized feedback of what their reaction to this has been, and generally if we would expect any big changes to primarily the larger stores that are in the marketplace now.
Yeah, a good question. And the generalized feedback is really excitement for reinvigorating the center. I mean, obviously they're there as retailers and restaurants, and the idea that we'd be bringing in resident people actually living on site to help support along with the existing residents in Oro Valley. Some of the retailers that are there, the larger retailers, are kind of looking, I don't want to use the term struggling, but the retail market is changing. We all know that. And what they're really, at the national level, what they're really looking at is population in and around a lot of their stores. And so as we can increase that in this area, we have a higher likelihood of maintaining them and keeping them here. And so that's been a lot of the discussion has been about the population increase that's desired in Oro Valley, and kind of what we're trying to create in this area to keep those retailers there.
We had a couple of questions. One, which was already addressed, was the noise, potential additional noise pollution. Another one was the water park. Where is the water coming from for the water park? Just curious.
Okay, Ms. Sylvan.
Yeah, and I don't know, David and Rob, if you want to chime in. The Oro Valley Water is the water provider for the project, and what we are intending to do is work with the Oro Valley Water Department on recycling and using some reclaimed water. It obviously has to be safe because people will be interacting with it, and we want to make sure we're being responsible with that water use.
So I think really the water use would be potable water use from Oro Valley Water, but really the most of the splash pads and those kinds of things have the recirculating systems, so the water use is not terribly great. So that would certainly be the use for the active the recreation portions of it. And then generally speaking, I'm not sure if everyone realizes either, but the overall center of Oro Valley Marketplace, back when we originally did it 10, 15 years ago, has a couple of very large cisterns in there that take rip water off of the Walmart, and then also the road majors over there where Dick's Sporting Goods used to be. So there's already a pretty robust water harvesting system in place. So that's obviously a good thing.
I'm kind of on the same side with the noise issue. We're on the other side, and sorry, we're probably going to attend our meeting too later on in August, but we're on the other side of Oracle Road, and we have a lot of noise that bounces off the mountains. And so we're going to be adding a lot of traffic, both from hotels and then potentially from apartment complexes, outside entertainment in a bar. And I like to sit in my backyard and listen to the birds, and that's already being corrupted. So what are you going to do to make sure that the people that are around you aren't going to be impacted by this?
Sure, and there, it's a good question, and there's a lot of mitigation measures that can be taken once we know where the noise on the site will be coming from. Because as you're pointing out, we're not entirely sure where those opportunities for noise to carry will be. And there are really great noise studies and noise mitigation. Again, for the apartments and those areas, we've got the outside areas encompassed within buildings, and buildings and walls are especially the tall ones, are fantastic noise barriers. And the town recently updated its noise ordinance as well to not only require that study, but also to acknowledge the levels of noise that are appropriate from the edges of the properties. So we're already going to be mitigating it at the edge of the properties. The roads are, I mean, Oracle Road is a state highway. It's built at a capacity to handle the traffic that's there as well as the future traffic. I'm not sure I can necessarily speak to noise mitigation on the roads. What I can speak to is the noise mitigation from the project area.
Are you still planning for a beer garden?
That the idea in the entertainment area is to create, it depends on whether or not there's, a user that is a restaurant or a user that wants to do that. We're hoping that's the case. That would be in the center area. So thinking about where you are, there'll be some restaurants and then some other intervening buildings before you even get to Oracle Road. Oracle Road is then elevated in that area. So that's another, additional sound barrier. I'm not sure if you're still speaking to the sound or if you just want to know if you can go get a beer in a beer garden. But assuming it's the sound, there's a lot of things that will already be there. And then we will be required, once we have an idea of whether or not there will be outdoor speakers, how that would work, we're going to be required to do a noise study and work with a noise and acoustical expert and make sure that we're placing those, if they're even going to be there, in a way that helps to mitigate the noise at all of our property lines.
Yeah, because I used to live in the Paloma Estates and would listen to wedding parties and concerts from the resort on the hill till pretty early in the morning, and I really don't want to hear that again.
Okay. We won't let people drink beer in the morning. I'm just kidding. I hear you. I hear your comment. I'm not belittling it. I'm just trying to make an inappropriate joke.